Hey, mathematicians, mathematicians, and keepers of the clock and timekeepers. It's a great day in first grade and HA because we get to work with the Thomas the Tank Engine book as we practice how to tell time not to the hour, because you guys have mastered that. Now we're going to go on and learn how to tell time to the half hour using the analog clock. And I'm going to borrow the clock of Thomas the Tank Engine to do that. So it's a win-win for everybody. So the purpose of this video is to talk about how to tell time to the half hour using your analog clock with the hour hand and the minute hand, and then to also give directions and guide you through the pages in our math book today. So let's start out in the math book. Please make sure you have your name on page 601, name and number. Page 603, name and number. And then page 600 plus 5, another way to say 605. 600 0 10s and 5 1s. And then we're going to go back to the blue arrow page, which is where we always start. The blue arrow page tells us that we're going to focus on telling time to the half hour analog style. Okay, and the directions tell us there's a picture of a, well, it's actually a watch, and so both clocks and watches can be analog style. I think this is a watch band. I think this is somebody's wrist, and there's their fingers. So if you have an old-fashioned watch, an analog watch, it says to trace the hands. So, and then we'll figure out what the time is. So first, use a pencil, but I'm going to use a marker just so it's easier for you to see. So start here and first trace this hand, and then trace this hand. And I got off a little, but that's okay. Go with the flow and make it a good show. All right, so which hand is bigger? The hand that's pointing towards the 10 and the 11, or the hand that's pointing towards the 6? So the bigger hand is the one that almost touches the 6, and I wish they did touch the 6. That's how I want you to draw it, but when you draw your own clocks, but they came close. The other hand is about halfway from the center to the numbers. So this is the minute hand, and this is the hour hand. Okay? So the minute hand is pointing to the 6. When we were telling time to the hour, it was pointing to the 12. When the minute hand points to the 6, it is halfway around the clock or the hour, right? So let's bring in Thomas. And so if I make it this time, the hour's on the 10 and the minute hand's on the 12, so it's 0 minutes after 10 o'clock. Okay. Now, if I go down here with the minute hand, I've gone halfway around the clock. So the clock is eventually, the minute hand's going to go around one whole circle. That's 1 hour. And when it does, then the hour hand will be on the 11. And the thing is, time never stops. The minute hand keeps moving, goes halfway across the circle, and then all the way across, and then it's 12 o'clock. Okay, so one way to think about this is a circle, and this is halfway around the circle. So one way to tell this time is you could say it's half past 10, because the last hour that the hour hand was on, at the top of the hour, it was 10. By the time the minute hand gets half past 10, that's half of an hour. Half of an hour. So think about when we learned about fractions. If the clock is a circle, if you divided that circle into two equal parts, one way to do it would be to draw a line from the top to the bottom. Here's one equal part, here's two equal parts. Each of those is 1 out of 2 equal parts, halves, right? We learned that a few weeks ago when we were learning about fractions. So when the minute hand goes halfway around the hour, we can say that's half past the hour. Half past 10, because when the hour started, it was 0 after 10. It was 10 hours and 0 minutes, 10 o'clock. Now, after half an hour, the minute hand has gone halfway around the hour, halfway around the clock. So on your paper, on the blue arrow page, you could say half past. What hour is the hour hand past? It's between the 10 and 11. The last hour it passed was 10. So we would say half past 10. So please write a 10 on the blank. Okay? But we're going to explore this a little more before we leave the blue arrow page. We're going to use the help of Thomas and his tank engine clock. So, besides knowing that this is halfway around the hour, it's good to understand it in a little more detail. So the key thing to know is that every number on the clock is worth 5 minutes. It takes 5 minutes for the minute hand to go from the 12 to the 1. It takes 5 more minutes to go from the 1 to the 2. And 5 more from the 2 to the 3. And the 3 to the 4. 5 minutes. 5 minutes. 5 minutes. 5 more. 5 more. How many more? How many? How many? Yep, 5. Every number is worth 5 minutes. So to tell how many minutes after the hour, all you have to do is count by 5s. And you guys know how to count by 5s. Let's do it together and all together. Ready? On your mark, get set, go. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35. What comes next? 40, 45, 50, 55, 60, 65, 70, 75, 80, 85, 90, 95, 100. It's a pattern, right? And it goes, when you count by 5s, the numbers go between 5 and 0, 5 and 0, right? 5, 10 is a 0 in the ones column. 15, 20 is a 0 in the ones column. 25, 30 as a 0 in the ones column, right? So you know how to count by 5s. So each number, to tell the time, you just count by 5s for each number. So this is not 12:01. It's not 1 minute after 12. It's 5 minutes after 12. Okay? This is not 2 minutes after 12. It is 10 minutes after 12 because we're counting by 5. So let's count by 5s. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30. What comes next? Okay, what should I put here? So 30, 35, 40, 45, 50, 55, 60. But 60 minutes equals 1 hour. So once we've done that, we start over. So we don't say, when you get up to here, you don't say 10:60. But if you're here, you say 10:55 because it's 55 minutes after 10, which is almost 11 o'clock. Here you say 11 o'clock because now every time you get to 60, you start a new hour. You'll learn more about that in 2nd grade and 3rd grade, but I think it's important to try to understand the big picture to know how to say or how to tell the time when it is 10:30. You could say 10:30, but there's more important ways to say it. And that is, so if we start at 10, now if the minute hand moves to the 1, it's not 10:01, it's 10:05. This is not 10:02, it's 10:10. This is not 10:03, it's 10:15. What's this time? It's not 10:04, it's 10:20. What's this time? 10:25. Whoops. What's this time? 10:30. So when we get halfway around the clock, halfway around the hour, besides saying 10:30, you can also say 10:30 or 30 minutes after 10 o'clock. It is 30 minutes after 10 o'clock. So please write that on your paper. 10:30. Remember, the colon means after. So 30 minutes after 10 o'clock. And there are, remember how many minutes in a whole hour? 60. Half of way around is 30, because half of 60 is 30, because think of it this way. You know that 3 plus 3 equals what? 6. And that means that 30 plus 30 equals 60. So when we get halfway around the clock, we get to 30 minutes, because 2 equal parts of 30 equals 60. So half past the hour is 30 minutes after the hour. Okay, and 30 plus 30 equals 60. So this half, the first half is 30 minutes, the second half is 30 minutes. 30 plus 30 equals 60, which is a whole hour. All right. We are going to be practicing this for the next several days, so if it seems a little confusing what I'm saying, you'll get it. You'll get used to it, because practice makes progress. So let's turn to the back of the Blue Arrow page, the See and Show page, so we can read what we need to succeed. Let's read together. It says, put your reading finger on the words. It says, an analog clock can show time to the half hour. A half hour is 30 minutes, just like we talked about, right? And here, just like we talked about on the front of the Blue Arrow page and on the Thomas clock, each number is worth 5 minutes. So here, the hour hand is between the 4 and the 5. It started on the 4. So when it was here, it was 4:05, 4:10. Can you count with me? 4:15, 4:20, 4:25. So now when the minute hand is on the 6, it's 4:30. We say that it is 4:30 or 4:30. There's 2 ways to say the time at the half hour. You can either say 4:30 or 4:30. So please trace in the 4 for 4:30, and then trace in the 4:30. 4:30, 30 minutes after 4. The helpful hint says the hour hand points between the 4 and the 5. The minute hand points to the 6. It is 4:30. So now let's go back and look at the Thomas clock and talk about 4:30. So the hour started at 4 o'clock. When it was 4 o'clock, the hour hand was right on the 4, the minute hand was on the 12. But as the minute hand moves on a real clock, the hour doesn't stay on the 4. The hour slowly moves off the 4 because it's no longer 4 o'clock. Now it's kind of getting between 4 and 5. And as the minute hand moves around, the hour hand slowly moves as well on a real clock. There's gears that connect the minute hand to the hour hand and move the hour hand as the minute hand moves. So when it's half past the hour hand is not on an hour. It's halfway between the hour that we just had and the hour that we're about to have. So 4:30, the hour hand is halfway between the 4 and the 5. Then eventually, as we get up to, as the minute hand comes around back towards the 12, it will move the hour hand to the 5, and now it's 5 o'clock. And then as the minute hand moves around, slowly the hour hand moves off of the 5, comes around to 5:30. Now the hour hand is not on the 5. It's half past. It's halfway between the 5 and the 6 as it's at 5:30. So something to notice and pay attention to is the hour hand is not on the number when it's half past. It's halfway between the two numbers. But we say it's 5:30 or 5:30. So the big idea is the hour hand is not on the number. It's halfway between the two numbers on the clock. And the minute hand is on the 6. All right. So let's work on page 602 together. It says, tell what time is shown. Write the time. And you guys are super smart. So we're not just going to do it. We're not just going to write half past. We're going to write it both ways. The two ways that we talked about before. So let's practice that together. First, number 1. Okay, the minute hand is on the 6. The hour hand is between the 9 and the 10. So what was the last hour that the hour hand was on? Because the clock goes this way. So it was, the last hour that it was on was the 9. So it's 9:30. So please write that. And then above it, I want you to write it the digital way, which is 9:30, because it's 30 minutes after 9. Okay? Now, if you need to hit pause during this video to follow the directions, please do that, and then hit play again. And it's unfortunate I was using marker to show you how to do the front of the page, and the marker bled through, so we're going to have to just overlook that. Looking at number 2, the minute hand is pointing to the 6. The hour hand is between the 1 and the 2. So it's 30 minutes or half past. What was the last hour that the hour hand was on? It's going this way, right? So the last hour that it was on was the 1. So it's 1:30. And to write that, we say 1 hour and 30 minutes, or 30 minutes past 1, or half past 1, because 30 minutes is half of the hour. Okay, now, could you hit pause and try to do number 3 and 4, and then hit play to check your hypotheses and predictions. Okay, so number 3, the minute hand's on the 6, the hour hand is halfway between the 6 and the 7. So the last hour it was on was the 6. So we say it's 6:30, or 6:30, 30 minutes after 6. The hour comes first, even though it's 30 minutes after 6. And for number 4, Now, I should say, if you made a mistake on number 3, awesome. Say, thank you, God, for helping me make a mistake. Or even better yet, you can say, Taxa mikiet, God, for helping me make a mistake. And now I'm going to learn. And then for number 4, the minute hand's on the 6. The hour is between the 3 and the 4. The last hour that the hour hand was on was the 3. It's 3:30. So the 3 goes first, then the colon, then the 30 minutes. We say it's 3:30 or 30 minutes after 3. Okay? All right, so now we're going to skip for a few minutes page 603. Let's work through page 605 or go through the directions. So on page 605, at the top is what box that tells what you need to read to succeed. It's the same information that we worked on page 601 and 602, but please read it again. Then you're going to do the same thing on page 605 that you did on 602 just a minute ago. You're going to write the time, but I want you to write it 2 ways. Write it half past way and then write it with the colon. So here, we'll do number 1 together. Looking here, the minute hand's on the 6, the hour hand's between the 3 and the 4. What is the last hour that the hour hand was on? It was 3, so it's 3:30. And up here, please write the digital time, 3:30 or 30 minutes after 3. So to be clear, in your math books today, I'm asking you to write it 2 ways. The half past way and the colon 30 way. So do the same thing for 2, 3, and 4. And then, on the back, on page 606, same thing for 5 and 6. Number 7 says, Tim has a swimming practice at 7 o'clock. The swimming practice ends 30 minutes later. What time does it end? Half past what hour? And then also please write that time with the hour and the colon and the minutes. Okay, my shadow is blocking those light waves from the sun. Okay, Trisha's bus picks her up at 9 o'clock. She arrives at school 30 minutes later. What time does she arrive at school? Half past what hour? And then write it up here in hour, colon, minutes. Okay? Then circle the matching time. A half hour or half past 12 o'clock. Which clock shows half past 12 o'clock? Circle the clock that shows half past 12 o'clock. And then going to go back to page 603. Make sure your name and number's at the top. And complete the 8 problems on page 603, just like we did on 602 and 605 and 606. Write the hour, write half past the hour, put the number for the hour, and then write it up above with the hour, the colon, and the minutes. Okay? Great job, timekeepers and keepers of the clock. I hope that you enjoyed this video, and if something doesn't make sense, please go back and rewind the video and re-watch it again. When you're all done, please have mom and dad or somebody from home send me only page 603. That's the only page you have to send me. All right, good job. And what do we say in our language of the day, Swedish? We say taxa mycket. Taxa mycket. Taxa mycket.